Yo, what's going on, family? This is your brother here, DeAndre Riley, D.R.speaks, coming your way with another message. I got something to say, and today I want to talk about judge not, or don't judge. People, they ask this question a lot of times: why you judging? Especially if you're a Christian, which I happen to be. Christians ain't supposed to judge, all of that type of stuff, and I've been hearing a lot about this. It seems like over the last couple of weeks, past month or so. And I mean, people, they've been saying this for, a very long time. And oftentimes you hear this statement, you hear this rebuttal even after a person has approached the individual who states the claim that we shouldn't be judging. After the individual has come to them and maybe pointed out something that this person wasn't doing right. Perhaps they quote a scripture that lets the person know, hey, you're in error, you're wrong, you're sinning, so on and so forth. And a lot of times the person gets defensive. And they're like, man, you judging. Why you judging me? I mean, you ain't supposed to judge. Then Jesus said, judge not. And a lot of times they go directly to Matthew 7, verse 1. And it talks about not judging, or judge not, for fear that you be judged. With the same judgment that you put out is the same judgment that you will receive. What you put out, you will receive. Galatians says something like this: you reap what you sow. And what's interesting about it is when you look at this particular subject, especially the scripture in which Jesus is talking about, Jesus in the scripture is not contradicting himself. Because there are plenty of places in scripture that lets us know that we are to judge and we are to judge righteously. And so if we take a further examination of that particular scripture, Matthew 7, you'll find out that Jesus is saying just that. For us to have righteous judgment, for us to have a clear judgment when we are, letting people know about their issues. Because Jesus, he talks about this. He says, hey, man, you got stuff in your eye and you're focusing on what's in somebody else's eye. But until you take out what's in your eye, you won't be able to properly let them know what's going on with their eye. Why? Because your vision is messed up. Here's the point of all of this. Think about it like this, and I'm finished. I'm closing, as the preachers would say. Imagine, you live in a subdivision, gated community or whatever, condo, and they have what's called a homeowners association, HOA, and oftentimes the homeowners associations has a lot of different guidelines and rules that, each, resident should abide by. And if you don't abide by these rules, there are some unfortunate fines that you will have to face as a result of not abiding by these rules. But say, for instance, it's the fall time, leaves falling down on the ground, trees are dying, and there's, leaves everywhere. And a part of the guidelines by the HOA, the Homeowners Association, is this: you must keep your sidewalks swept. There should not be any leaves covering your sidewalks or the sidewalks in which people will be walking up and down the street on. And so if you're outside, you're raking your leaves, you're doing what you need to do, and then you look over next door at your neighbor who has leaves all over their yard, all over the sidewalk, and you see this person coming and going. One day you decide to say to your neighbor, hey, man, the association says that we are to keep our leaves and stuff intact, for fear that we get a fine, or, for fear that we make the community look bad. And we want to make sure we're making everything, look the way we're supposed to, because as a part of the association, there's a particular image that should be projected, right? So if the individual is an understanding person, he or she will look at the neighbor who is trying to help them out and say, yeah, man, you're right. And not only will the person who is being, critiqued will be objective and understanding, but then the person who is also giving the advice will be understanding and objective. And what I think is the issue is a lot of times people are judging people without full understanding. This is what Jesus is talking about. They are judging people without first sweeping around their own door. Judge not simply means this, or when I'm going to judge you, it simply means this: I'm going to sweep around my door and make sure I do the best I can. And along the way of doing so, if I notice that you need help, I'm going to do the same thing to help you out. And so with my effort to sweep around my door and wanting to have everyone else, live the best way they possibly can, I may reach out to you and to say, hey, you might want to work on that. We may need to do this. Let's get this together. And if at all possible, I will chime in and help you. Because, hey, maybe the person who lives in a particular gated community, they don't have the time per se to, sweep the leaves up and do all that type of stuff. Well, as your neighbor, as your friend, I can come by and say, hey, I can help you out. I got time, or I know somebody that can. Here's the whole point, my brothers and sisters, particularly to us as Christians. We have to make sure and make it our point that we, number one, are living the way that we are supposed to live. This does not mean that we're going to be, we're going to get it right 100% of the time. That's not what that means. It doesn't mean that we're going to do everything exactly to the T like we're supposed to, but we're going to put forth the best effort possible to make sure that we can do what we're doing and do what we're supposed to do to please God. And in the process, help as many people along as you possibly can. So with that being said, judging is something that's a responsibility of all of us that are a part of this community of believers. But then there's also a responsibility of those who are in this world to make sure that we are helping others along the way to live and to be the best individuals that they can possibly be in all capacities, whether as parents, brothers and sisters, co-workers, ministry leaders, so on and so forth, entrepreneurs. We all have a responsibility to help each other out. So I encourage you, next time somebody says something to you that maybe perhaps you're not too particularly fond of and you want to draw up and consider it judging, take a step back, look at it. Look at the evidence, see what's going on, and see if there is areas in your life that you may need to take certain attention towards and work on it. Because I can promise you this, at the end of the day, we all have something in our own individual lives that we need to work on, and we can all get better in certain areas. So let's not think that we made it. Let's not have the superiority complex, because at the end of the day, you can do better and I can do better. And that's all we're trying to do. Listen, family, do me a favor. Share this video. Tag somebody in it, because I know somebody needs to hear this message. And until we meet again, it's your brother here. Connect with me, D.R.speaks. Peace. Be blessed.